A body washed up on the island of Lesbos. The dead man was a refugee from Afghanistan. He left the Turkish coast trying to reach Greece. In just 1 year, more than 100 bodies have washed up on these shores. What is happening on Europe's southern border? We received this film of the Greek Coast Guard in action.
Hey, you! Don't make a move, I kill you! Don't make a move! Hands up! Everybody hands up! Everybody hands up! Everybody! Hey! Everybody stay on the boat! Everybody stay on the boat!
Images TV viewers are not used to seeing. Yorgos Kosmopoulos takes us down the coast of Lesbos. During the day, it's a magnet for sun-hungry tourists, but at night, a floating graveyard. Yorgos and his fellow Amnesty International activists have taken statements from 80 refugees. As well as being in the European Union, Greece has more favorable asylum conditions than just across the sea in Turkey.
Okay, here you can see the coastline of Turkey. You can see how close it is. And this little distance from Turkey to Greece can mean anything to these people. Can mean safety, can mean security, can mean reuniting with loved ones, can mean a hope for a new future, escaping very terrible situations.
But if caught, the refugees are systematically sent back to Turkey with no hope of being granted asylum.
The Greek Coast Guard has stopped the little vessel, taken away the gas, taken away very often their belongings, even cases of ill treatment. We have had many cases where people actually were beaten and slapped for no reason, and they have been sent back to Turkey.
In this footage, the Coast Guard has opened fire on a boat and hit its engine. At close quarters, the Coast Guards do not shy from punching and kicking the refugees. At gunpoint, the boat's passengers are taken on board the Coast Guard boat. Their next stop is Lesbos and interrogation. Most of the refugees have fled conflict or persecution in Syria, Afghanistan, and Somalia. In the Greek authorities' eyes, however, they're just illegal immigrants.
Look at me, like this.
We're not allowed on board the Coast Guard ships and are told that such patrols are secret operations. All Lieutenant Sofiadoulis can say is that he's just following orders.
So we have to do our task, our duties, to rescue people from the sea, to intercept those that are trying to come here illegally, irregular, and we follow instructions from our headquarters, from our government. This is something that has to do with politics.
Among those picked up by the Coast Guard is Abdullah Yusuf from Somalia. He arrived in Lesbos in April on a dinghy perilously overloaded with 42 people. When the Coast Guard turned up, the last thing they wanted was to go back to Turkey. Assuming the Coast Guard would rescue those stranded in the water, he slid open the dinghy, but no lifeboat materialized, leaving Abdullah to swim for his life.
They told me that I should come to the back of the boat, and suddenly it's the same time when I came to the back of the boat, not even 1 minute, 10 seconds, there was started in the boat.
He tells us the propeller broke his legs in several places. He was dragged on board.
Did they help you on the boat then?
No, in the boat they took me up and put me on the floor of the boat. I asked him money help, then I asked him because I was bleeding and all my clothes that I have was wet and was bleeding. I was feeling very cold. I asked him a blanket.
But no one gave him a blanket. They just started questioning him. Another video that we were sent shows the Greek Coast Guard apprehending a boat heading for the Turkish coast in the early hours of the morning. The Coast Guards are sure that this man has just smuggled illegal refugees over to Greece and is now on his way back. He faces a prison sentence. The video comes to an abrupt end. This is where the detained refugees are taken on the Greek island of Lesbos. There are 3 tents and 2 toilets. 11 Syrians and several Afghans have been here for days. They're not allowed to leave the port, and journalists are not allowed in. Occasionally, locals bring them food and water. Then the Afghan women are taken away by the police like common criminals. The refugees end up in large detention centers, teenagers and children alike. Journalists have no access here either, but politicians do. Rebecca Harms, a Green member of the European Parliament, is here to investigate serious allegations made against the Greek police. It's her second visit to this deportation center for minors in Athens. The whereabouts of their parents is unknown. They're waiting to be deported. Some wait for months without ever having seen a lawyer. Less than 1% of asylum seekers are allowed to stay in Greece. About 50 minors are detained here, the police chief tells us, and answers the politicians' questions.
Yes. Do they know what they have to expect?
Unaccompanied minors. Ασυνόδευτοι. Ασυνόδευτα ανήλικα.
Αυτοί εδώ πέρα που εδώ πέρα. Ναι, δεν ξέρω, οι γονείς τους, οι οικογένειές τους πραγματικά μπορεί να είναι έξω, αλλά να το αποκρύπτουν. Δεν ξέρω.
We don't know where their families are, and they don't know where their families are. Και πού απελάβονται αυτοί?
Τώρα από την
And they are deported back to where they came from. But you can... Deporting unaccompanied minors, yeah?
It's not
exactly. If you haven't found
it happened already, or how often they
Solange
we tolerate the fact that a European country like Greece is abusing human rights. We're just happy that we don't have to take them. We need to guarantee these people that we are going to treat them in accordance with human rights standards and conventions. And we're not doing that at the moment.
The dead Afghan is taken away. His body is buried alongside the others in a cemetery on the island. The dead boat people have been interred next to a heap of rubbish. Their graves identified by number only. Their names are unknown.